Hello, Jerry in Troy, Alabama. See more better with freeprescriptionlenses.com, and tonight I'm going to cut what's known as drill mount lenses for a silhouette drill mount frame. Now, my next video, I'm going to show you how to make a radioactive bundt cake using enriched uranium, but this time with an artificial sweetener that will not compromise the radioactive isotopes of the cake. But tonight I'm going to cut the Essilor Varilux X. Can you see the X pattern in the lens? Is my camera good enough to pick that up? The honeycomb effect, the top of the line Essilor digital freeform progressive lenses with Crizal Avance for a silhouette 50 model number 5515, shape EW, or as I like to call it, OO, in a 51 eye size. It has a 19 millimeter bridge and a 150 temple length. Let me show you how it comes from Silhouette. Of course, make sure that when you get this in the mail, you recycle the cardboard. Your Silhouette cleaning cloth, your magnetic flap Silhouette case, and this is how the frame comes in that little insert, and of course a little booklet, and it even comes with the sleeves, as they're known, the bushings, which I will use in your video. But let's first start by getting the shape programmed into the computer. This video is going to be a little bit longer than normal, so stick around, people. Fast forward, watch it on 2x speed, whatever you got to do to stay entertained. I'm going to program the shape into the computer, so years from now, Jerry, should you ever need new lenses, I can mail the lenses right to your home, and you'll have to take them somewhere else unless you have all the Silhouette tools at home. But you will be Secret Agent 2105 from this moment going forward. Now here's something you don't see me do in the videos. I'm going to click on the glasses icon. There's a camera there. I'm going to take a picture of the pattern that Silhouette has sent me. I'm going to take a picture using the right lens. I could do the left. And I'm going to pull up, either I could do a blank lens, but I'm going to use the pattern and hit start. I'm going to get preparation, say initialization process, remove any objects from the optical chamber, which is the platform that the lenses get blocked on. So I'm going to place now this pattern onto the platform, and there is an optical camera that is going to take a picture after I hit check mark. Position the object to be read in the chamber. I did that. It is a width, the bridge width. The distance between the lenses is 19, check. And in a moment, it will show me the picture that it just took of this pattern. Now what I need to do to drill the lenses, we're going to move on to the next screen. And the other thing I'm going to do, his last glasses, this pattern is, come on, get lined up perfectly, 33 millimeters deep from top to bottom. His last lens was 35, so I'm going to hit the sizing button. And I'm going to do an overall thing. I'm going to drop the lens 2 more millimeters. Oh, stop it. What are you trying to do? Doesn't like that. Let's go back. Let's go back. Which box was I in? 16.3. I thought can I just do 2? Come on, just 2. Doesn't like that either. Okay, we're going to do something different this time. Let's do this way overall, 2 millimeters. 2.4. Oh, you're being really stubborn. Okay. What are you hassling me for? 50 millimeters. Oh, that's 51. That way, that way. These are all the dimensions of the lens. If I can make it wider or deeper, which I'm trying to do, let's do... Oh, I know what I'm doing. I see what I'm doing. Okay, we're going to go back. We're going to make this 18.3. I'm not adding 2 millimeters. I have to type in the right coordinates of 18.3. And it's now 35 millimeters depth. You can see that green outline. Move on to the next screen. I have to enter the drill holes. So I'm going to hit this drill icon. It's going to go here. I'm going to tap this, the plus sign. I want to add a drill hole, and I'm going to put it right there. Now that's just getting it close. I can move this around with these arrows here. I can move the screen. I have a little toggle, a little ball to roll it around. Isn't that cool? But silhouette, this is, if you go to silhouette drill charts, if you Google that, there's be a search bar. You can type in 00 EW or scroll down till you find EW, and all the silhouette drill shapes are there. We're going to use a 51 eye size, and the outer hole is 6.1 millimeters from the center of the lens going upward. So I'm going to tap this and type in 6.1 millimeters. The hole is going to be 2.0 millimeters from the edge, and there's a 1.4 millimeter hole. I'm going to add a second hole there. I'm going to make the height of that from, this is known as the B measurement, the box, from the center of the lens up. This is now 6.25 millimeters, this hole. So I'm going to type in 6.25. I have to do the width, and it is 5 millimeters. The first hole was 2 millimeters. The second hole is another 3 for a total of 5. So I'm going to type in 5 millimeters from the edge. And of course, this hole is 1.4 millimeters thick, or in diameter. Let's add the other holes now at the nasal area. These two are the same. It's 7.25 millimeters. 7.25 from the horizontal going straight up. Let's make this one 2.0 millimeters from the edge. 1.4 millimeter diameter hole. And now we're going to add the fourth hole. I could put the dot pretty much anywhere, but we're going to do this one again. 7.25. These are both the same. 7.25. This is what you're paying for with the blocker, the computer that comes with it. You don't see me using it a lot, but it is there. 5.0 millimeters from this hole, from this edge. And again, a difference of 3 millimeters, 3 millimeters, 1.4 millimeter hole. Move on to the next screen. Now I can put this into the recycling bin. Always recycle. Leave the planet in better condition than you found it. So the pupillary distance for the right eye is 30. I'm going to tap the minus button until we get down to 30. I want to raise the height of the invisible bifocal to 22. I'm going to change the layout screen from single vision to progressive. The Varilux X is a progressive lens. So I'm going to take the lenses, which you don't see me do in the videos. I'm going to come down here to use my layout chart. I've got a PAL, a Progressive Additional Lens Identifier from Essilor. There's two circles on the edge of each lens, 34 millimeters apart. And you have 2.5 written on there, which tells me the strength of the Progressive is 250. I'm going to put an R on this lens, because that's the progressive strength is always on the outside of the lens. Those two circles correspond with the ones in the lens. I'm going to put the dots right there imposed on top of that. And with this chart, this tells me where to put the height of the invisible bifocal. Now that comes with paint on the lens, which I will show you in just a moment, but I never trust the paint that's on there. The lab does about 1,000 pair of lenses a day, and they can be in a hurry. So I take my time and do it right. I underline the strength of the bifocal on the outside. That tells me it's a left lens because it's always on the outside. On the inside area, you will have an X right here, laser engraved into the lens, and then the icon of the Varilux X. That this is an older Varilux layout chart. This tells me where to lay the lenses so they will fit, starting with the ellipse, the comfort, the panoramic, the physio short, ipsio. Now, nearly all Essilor Varilux lenses have a 4 drop. The center of the lens is that dot there. This is 4 millimeters above the 180 meridian, the center meridian of the lens. So I'm going to put a dot there. Now again, the person who dotted these up, I'm trying to find a white background, the dot corresponds exactly with the crosshairs of the scope. But I never like to assume that is that way. The cost of these lenses, and because I'm a little bit OCD and a perfectionist when it comes to cutting other people's lenses, I use my own measurements. I don't trust what anyone else has put on there. At the end of the day, the buck stops with me. I am responsible for the quality of all lenses being cut and shipped. And so I don't let anyone else measure for me. That's part of the reason many of the people buy from me online, is because I am a perfectionist. I am a licensed optician. Not only did I pass the ABO and NCLE exam, which is the minimal requirements for 29 states, but I'm in North Carolina. That is a licensed state. I had to pass the North Carolina State Board exam, which is no easy feat. Before I took it, I had a passing rate of 19%. And I passed it on my first try. None of my classmates did. So, and they were straight A students, nothing against them. I was just determined. You will not find someone more motivated than myself. So the lens is on there. I've got the dots laid out. It is a 4-drop, meaning that when the center goes there, that's going to be right where your pupil is. The outer markings are 4 millimeters below. This is a block. I'm going to return to my regularly scheduled programming, also known as Jenny from the block. I need to attach this to your lens while it is cutting, so I need 2 double-sided adhesive stickers, of which I've got here. The black side is the sticky side. I'm going to line this up onto the first block, put that onto the platform, do the same thing now for the second one, pull the paper away to make the black side sticky. I'm going to line up the magnet. On the back is a silver button that is a magnet. It's going to attach itself to another magnet into the arm. It does its job twice. This is the first time it attaches itself to another magnet. I'm going to get everything laid out here perfectly. And pupillary distance, optical center height, position of wear. It goes by many names. I'm going to hit this button. The arm's going to come down, place a block onto the right lens. We're going to do the same thing now for the left lens. Pull the paper away to make the black side sticky. Line up the magnet. Let's go ahead and enter the coordinates of the left eye, which is 32. The computer has mirrored the right side of 30. I'm going to tap the plus button to get up to 32. Same optical center height of 22. Get everything lined up in there perfectly. And there we go. Hit that button. The arm comes down and places the block onto the left lens. Now this is the edger. This is what's going to do all the work while I run my mouth. I'm going to show you some of the components. Hit the SLR button, the tools, the drill, the clean door. I cleaned it just a moment ago. So this is the lever that you see come out in the videos. This does the safety bevel. If this were semi-rimless with a string at the bottom, this is the blade that cuts the groove. This is the drill bit. This is a 1 millimeter drill that is going to cut the drill holes into the lens. Now the drill hole, you heard me say, is 1.4 millimeters in diameter. So once it goes through, it's going to ream itself out like that until the hole is the correct size. So I'm going to bring that back down. What a nice clean door. I'm going to wake up the computer. Job ID number 2105. 2105. You see the 4 drill holes there. I'm not going to polish. These are polycarbonate lenses. They were plastic Hindex or plastic or Trivex. I would select that. I talked to Jerry ahead of time. He does not want his lenses polished, especially with the Crizal anti-glare coating on there. When you polish the lens, let me see if I have a couple examples of that hiding in there. I've got a few extra lenses. That one's definitely polished. This one is not. So this is a polished edge. This is not a polished edge in my left hand. The purpose of anti-glare is to reduce the glare that comes into the lens. When on the front and the back surface, when you polish the edge, you're now having a very shiny surface that overhead fluorescent lights will enter through the lens this way and from the side. I used to have a truck driver that complained about these orange lights in the right side of his lenses. To come to find out, it was his truck radio that was orange. The colors from the lenses were coming in to the right side of his right lens, bothering him while driving. So I explained these options to Jerry. He wanted to go with a satin finish to reduce as much glare as possible. Now, yes, for the sake of argument, your lens looks better if this were the same thickness, polished. But how many people look at your profile versus looking at you dead in the eye? So you will see better out of the lens in my left hand. You will look better out of the lens in my right hand. It's the age-old question of form versus function. And so explaining all that to Jerry, he decided he wanted to go with to see the best, He's buying the highest quality frame with the highest quality lenses. How many people are going to look at his profile? He'll turn his head and look right at them. So that's how we end that debate. And that goes in there. So I'm not going to polish the edge of the lenses. I am going to put a safety bevel on the front convex surface of the lens because it will be protruding from the frame. I want smooth edges on the front of the lens and a slightly heavier bevel on the rear concave surface of the lens. I'm going to press the block onto the lens firmly. I'm going to place the magnet into the chuck. Now it's going to do its job a second time as it attaches there into the chuck, or as I like to call it, the Charles, just because I just don't know this machine well enough to call it chuck. I'm going to hit the green start button. The door closes, the clamp shuts. The lens is going to be traced by the 2 white styluses, making sure it's large enough to go into this chassis. The 3 parts are known as the chassis, the 2 temples and the 1 bridge. And now doing its routine thickness gauge, and then you'll see it doing some tapping. It's measuring the thickness of the lens, where to put the drill holes. It'll do the same thing now for the second one and the 4th hole. So the cutting wheel is starting up. The lens, just like normal procedure, is going to drop down onto the cutting wheel. You will see water in the background. That's there to catch the optical sawdust as it comes off of the cutting wheel. Polycarbonate lenses cut dry, where plastic, high-index plastic, and Trivex lenses cut wet, meaning that water sprays onto the lens for the duration of the cutting cycle. Water will only spray onto polycarbonate lenses to wash away the optical debris that you see beginning to form on the edge of your lenses just after the bevel cycle. Now, your lenses are made out of polycarbonate, which is 40% thinner and lighter than regular plastic. They are virtually unbreakable, making this a great material to use for drill mount frames. We can't use regular plastic, not today, not tomorrow, but this corner would break off. You compromise the integrity of a plastic lens when you drill into it. You do not compromise the integrity of polycarbonate or Trivex. Trivex is a great material, it just happens to be thicker. Most people don't like thicker lenses that cost more too, by the way. Trivex costs more and it's thicker. Now there's going to be the people out there that argue that Trivex is a better optical material, and for the sake of argument, let's just say I agree with that. 1 out of 1,000 people cannot wear polycarbonate due to chromatic aberrations. So I'd rather wait for that 1 out of 1,000 to complain than try and put everyone into a more expensive, thicker material. A lot of people who go back and forth between poly and Trivex cannot tell the difference except in the wallet when they buy Trivex. My wife is allergic to onions and garlic. 3% of the population. 3, that's much higher. Remember, people who cannot wear poly are 1 out of 1,000. 3 out of 100 are allergic to onions. Would you suggest that all restaurants quit serving onions because of 3% of the population? So how about 1%, 1/10 of 1% cannot wear poly? I don't recommend taking everyone out of poly. A lot of people like to do it. Trivex is the godsend of the optical industry because most insurance companies do not pay for Trivex. Most optical shops who take insurance know that your insurance will only pay for polycarbonate. They recommend Trivex, so you have to pay more out of pocket, thereby increasing their profits. That's why doctors and optical shops recommend Trivex. So it's getting the safety bevel on the front convex surface of the lens, and then it's going to move over and do it on the back concave surface of the lens. Now, you also got the Crizal Avance. Crizal is 3 coatings in one. The first part of the treatment is it reduces reflections when driving at night, particularly driving at night in the rain. But from street lights, stoplights, computer screens, overhead, and fluorescent lights. It also goes by the initials ARC, which stands for anti-reflective coating, so it reduces reflections when someone's looking at you. They don't see their reflection in your glasses, so it makes for much better eye contact. So now the drill is going to reverse directions and start spinning the other way. And you will see the drill go into the lens and drill all the way through. Once it is through, you will see it wiggle to increase the diameter from 1 millimeter to 1.4 millimeter. But the anti-reflective coating also reduces reflections. If someone takes a picture with a flash, you're less likely to see it. Also, if you take a selfie with your camera, you're less likely to see your phone in the camera lens. Excuse me, in your eyeglass lens. The third feature is that the process of putting the anti-glare coating on there takes over 24 hours to vaporize 8 different coatings onto your lens. So because of the time and the expense, Crizal put the industry's hardest scratch coating onto their lens to protect your time and investment. And I'll speak about time in just a moment. And so it's drilling the hole through the lens. And once it is through, if you look at the chuck, you'll see it start to wiggle. Right now, it's going around in a very small circle. The drill bit stays the same. Once it gets through, the chuck moves like that to increase the diameter of the hole. So it's going back to its original position. Just a moment, I'll open this door with my mind. I can do other things with my mind. I can melt ice with my mind. I can't, I just gotta stare at it for a couple hours. Gosh, why don't you believe me? So we're done with this lens. We can go ahead and flip this over to L, press that firmly on there and place it into the Chuck, the Charles, the Chucky baby, or tonight I'll call it the Jerry. Hit the green button, just like before. The door closes, the clamp shuts. The lens will be traced by the 2 wide styluses, making sure the lens is large enough to fit into the chassis. If this were a traditional frame, you can see as it's going around tracing the shape of the left side of the frame, lens I should say, measuring the thickness of the lens, and then it's going to measure ... where to place the first hole, where to place the second one, ... making sure that it's thick enough to put the bevel in there. So here's what I do. Before I take the block off, I need to grab some silhouette tools. This is a cutter. Actually, I don't need this. My reamer. This is a contact lens case that I keep the sleeves in, but your frame company has provided me with those. But before I begin, I want to ream these holes a little bit more. This prevents any crazing around the edges. This is why silhouettes take longer. I charge a little bit more for silhouette lenses because of the time it takes programming the computer, this part of it. Not to mention the drill attachment. I can buy this machine without the drilling features for $5,000 less. I can get it for $35,000. To be able to drill cost me $5,000. That's why the lab, by the way, these drill bits, let me finish with this and then I'll show you. These drill bits, I got a tape shut, but you can see it in there. These short little 1 millimeter drill bits cost $50. $5,000 attachment plus the software, $50 per drill to do that. And that's why when you order drill mount lenses, most optical shops charge $40 or more because the lab charges $8 to $10 per hole. So that's the $40 they pass on to you. Let me do this again. Polished edge, unpolished edge. No glare comes in through the side of that lens. So now I can take the block off, pull the sticker away, throw that back in there. I'm going to open the bag of soft BLS 40. The hard sleeves for, this is for the memory metal frames, which this is. The folding hinge traditional metal silhouette has a BLS 58 hard. BLS 58, they're a slightly different color. I have those on this side. I have in this contact lens case the soft ones on this side. But I don't have to use mine. Now in the future, years from now, when you don't purchase a frame and you only need lenses for your frame, I will have to use mine. These cost $33 for 100 of them. That's partly the other reason why the labs charge. Nothing is cheap when it comes to that. Now this is like a little cigar cutter. So I'm going to put that in there, stand over the trash can, snap, give it a little tap to get the cut bushings that came off out of those holes that ejects out of the back. Do the same thing again, snip. Now I get to use my favorite optical tool. I can't buy just one at a time. They sell them in packs of 100, and these are imported. I get these out of China. So put that in there, and I'm going to ream that out, because when you crimp down, these bushings are a little tube. It crimps down on that, and I want these to be opened up all the way for when I put the burr of the silhouette in there, which I will show you. And while I'm doing all this, let me talk about my favorite 4-letter word. What's your favorite 4-letter word? My favorite 4-letter word is time, which is taking me a lot of time to get this out. Time is a funny thing. There's too much of it and there's not enough of it. Sometimes time, it seems to last forever, and other times it's gone before you know it. Make sure you make the most of your time out there. It's fine to take some afternoons and days off, but we're here for such a fairly short amount of time. I want to accomplish a lot in my lifetime. I'm assuming everyone else does too. Make the most of your available time. So these little metal shafts are 1.4 millimeters, the hole that's in there. So I'm going to take this for the right lens. This is the bridge, and these have little burrs on there. I don't know if you can see that. It's not just a tube. There is, I apologize, I can't see what you guys are seeing, but there's little teeth, if you will, on there, barbs. I'm going to press that in there. Once I get it started, I take these pliers, which pivot on one end. This is the flat end here. Silhouette on one side, Adidas on the other. Adidas is owned by Silhouette, a German company. So they're the manufacturers for that. I'm going to crimp that on there. And actually, since we're done with the left lens, this is how I like to do them. I like to do the lenses first and the temples last. Dry that off. We're going to come around, use that reaming tool, get in there and ream that out. But yesterday, my wife's uncle, who joined the military at 17, when he got out at age 20, he went to work for a furniture company, retired after 30 years. And then once he was retired, he went to work for a funeral home for 41 years. How many people you know work for a company for 41 years after they retire from their first company of 30 years? But they named the sanctuary after him yesterday. They had a ceremony. And I started thinking about everything that he accomplished in his lifetime. And 30 years, he died at the age of 91. Working for a company for 30 years. For one, surviving the military, 3 years of active duty in the military. Going to work for a company as a machinist at a furniture company, where he could have been injured or killed working on the machinery there. Did that for 30 years. Then retiring from that company, didn't know what he wanted to do, so a friend of his said, why don't you help me clean up and work after hours at a funeral home? So he did that and ended up being so good at it, he stayed for 41 years. And just recently retired before passing away. Great accomplishment in my eyes. Utmost respect for him. They had a great ceremony yesterday. I wish they didn't serve cakes and cookies and pies. Oh, I was just guilty of that. I was trying to be healthy when I got back from my vacation. But hence the term why I'm going to make a radioactive bun cake with an artificial sweetener. So, ream the holes out a little bit more. So, we all like to relax and enjoy ourselves, but I like to remind everyone, take the time to push yourself to the limits. If you don't push yourself, you don't know what limits are possible and what you can accomplish. At the end of your life, it's not what you did that you regret. I am told it's what you didn't do. So use every day to do as much as you can. For me, I'm designing my own frames now. The first of which will be coming in a few weeks, which I'm excited about. I'm going to go overseas in January to meet with the manufacturers to do even more designs. I want to pick out the colors of the frames, the patterns, I guess the swatches they may be called. And again, I just crimp that on there. This pivots so that it follows the contour of the front surface, the convex surface of the lens. This stays firm against the bushing as that is crimped on there. Clean up as I go. I just want to make sure this is in standard alignment. A lot of things get moved around when you do this. Okay, so the outside dots are there, but the pupillary distance dot is gone, so I'm going to come back down here, use my Crizal pen, place those two dots over the two circles there, 34 millimeters apart, the progressive markings. Put a dot right there. Do the same thing now on the right side. Now I can come down here, and again, if you guys missed any of that, let me recap. Oh, you're not getting away without a bad joke somewhere in here. I can only be but so serious. We're going to turn the axis wheel to 005, exactly halfway between 0 and 10, 005. Put it in over that black dot. Read the power, and I am getting -2, exactly halfway between 1 and 3. That's where you'll find 2. That's because you have 2 steps of far-sighted correction. With your glasses off, everything is very clear. Now, so you're on the 8th rung of a ladder. You need 8 steps of minification to be able to see far away. Once the image is the correct size, you have 2 steps of astigmatism correction, of which I will measure now. And we end up at 250, exactly halfway between 2 and 3. Now the axis for your right eye is 005, for your left it's 90. The power for your left eye, let's go ahead and measure that now, is what are we getting here? What am I measuring? What am I measuring? Oh wait, we got to turn the axis wheel. That scared me. I was at 2. That scared me. We got to turn the axis wheel to 90 degrees away, and I should have -1. Woo! That scared me there. -1 in the red. Now you have another 4 steps of astigmatism correction. You have a spherical curve this way, an astigmatic curve 90 degrees away, both of them being -1, which is a full diopter. And when you add those two numbers together, now you get 2. Whew. Boy, that scared me. I thought I messed up after all this time. -2 at 90. So think of this as the fine-tune knob, starting at 0 and going to 90 to 180. Your right eye, your axis is at 5. For the left eye, it's directly at 90. Now your pupillary distance is 30 for the right eye, 32 for the left. If all goes well, I will get 62 millimeters when I place my PD stick against my thumb on your right lens. When we hold it up to the left lens, we're getting 62 millimeters. I want to check the optical center height of 22. That's where you will be wearing the invisible bifocal. When you get to the bottom of the lens, 22 millimeters, that is perfect. By the way, this is known as final inspection. 22 millimeters, that is perfect. So this is the portion in every video that as I clean your lenses, I mentioned that when you get these in the mail, there's a small chance that these could fit too loose or too tight, or they could sit high on one side or the other. That's because 80% of people have one ear that is higher than the other. So just stop by your local doctor's office where you had your exam and just tell them if it's too loose or too tight, or if it's high on one side, they'll adjust it. It only takes about 30 seconds to a minute to adjust a pair of glasses perfectly. By the way, this frame, I had to raise the price a little bit by $25. I got some pushback from Silhouette. I told them that I was selling online They said the lowest price I could sell any of these frames for legally was $299, so I play by the rules. The Varilux X digital freeform progressive lens is $299.99. Crizal Avance $99.99. $20 more you can get Crizal Prevencia. $40 more you can get Crizal Sapphire. For a total of $698.98 tax free. Now I know everyone's out there thinking, wow, that's a lot for a pair of glasses, but these are the invisible bifocal. You have an additional add of $250. Now in theory you could take your glasses off and read up close. So you can accommodate about 2 diopters in your right eye, 1 in your left, but we're going to add $250 to the strength of the invisible bifocal at the bottom, so you don't have to take your glasses off. It's almost like having no power in the bottom, so you're looking through that without having to take your glasses off. Being nearsighted, you can see up close. That's why you need far-sighted correction and then the nearsighted correction at the bottom. But I remind everyone that I am tax-free if you were to buy these glasses anywhere else on the internet. Of course, where are you going to find the Varilux X, the most expensive Essilor Varilux lens out there, for under $300? That's what most places charge for the starter progressive lens. But $698.98 times 7.5%, which is tax in my state, you'd pay an additional $52.42. You don't have to pay that when purchasing from me. But thank you for the purchase of the Silhouette 5515. This is Shape EW. Let's show one more step. The depth of the lens you wanted me to customize to 35 millimeters. 35 millimeters, exactly halfway between 30 and 40. So that is no problem when I can modify the width and the depth. Now, Jerry emailed me to know that he wanted silhouettes. I have some of the semi-rimless on the website, but my website designer could not figure out. Silhouette has several different chassis. This is known as the memory metal. You can sit on it, step on it, and it pretty much springs back to its original shape. These were designed by NASA. These are the only glasses allowed into space because these are 1.5 grams. There's nothing lighter weight than this. There's no screws anywhere in here to come loose. And so, because they had a problem with that, the sheer force of the takeoffs made one of the astronaut screws come loose in his glasses, and he inhaled it into his lungs on the launch pad because they were wearing respirators. So NASA designed a frame super lightweight that has no screws in there. So again, only glasses allowed into space until they can come up with 20-year-old astronauts, which they won't. Everyone in there is in their 60s because you have to train for 40 years to become an astronaut. And this is what they wear in zero gravity. Plus, if you bump your head in zero gravity, the glasses spring back to their original shape. There's no opticians like me out there in space. Not yet, at least. So, I'll put that back in my pocket. But, so email me if you know what the problem is. Silhouette has different chassis. These two temples and the bridge are known as the chassis. They have 3 different widths here, 17, 19, and 21. They generally have multiple lengths of temples, 140, 150, 160, some variations in between, 145, 155. If you know what you've worn in the past, you can email me. I will eventually figure out a way that my web designer can have different combinations of bridge width, different combinations here. Now, so you have a chassis. This is the 5515. They have about 10 to 12. Now, they have different shape lenses for each one of those chassis, about a dozen shapes for this chassis. You can put this lens into another chassis. They make frames with traditional hinges. When I say traditional hinge, like this, that is not the memory metal like this is. Now, for millennials who take your glasses on and off, it does require 2 hands to put on the memory metal, but once you're in a progressive lens, anyone over 40, you put them on and they stay there all day. It's the millennials in their late 30s who are taking their glasses off to look at the computer and back on. It gets annoying because you can't put these on with one hand. It does require 2. So just email me or call me at 919-491-2411. Tell me which model number chassis you want. I'll check on the price and availability. Again, I cannot sell any of them for under $299. So essentially it's $100 per part, but that's about cheaper than anywhere else you're going to find. Most of the times these frames sell for $400 to $450, so I sell them for $1 less than $300. I sell the Varilux X invisible bifocal for a penny less than $300. A lot of places charge $500 to $600 alone for this top of the line Essilor Varilux progressive lens that I have in there. The Crizal Avance adds, just a penny under $100. But just call me or email me, tell me which model of frame you want, the shape of the lens. Every lens has a different shape. Size. This comes in a 49 and 49 millimeters from the corner of this lens to the corner of that lens. This one is 51, is larger. I can make this one wider. I can make it more narrow. As you saw me do, this lens comes a little bit more narrow. He wanted me to add 2 more millimeters on there to make it the same size as what he was wearing. I can make it deeper. I can make it more narrow. I can customize these because I cut everything here, and there's no additional charge for doing that. So, if you've liked this video, I know it's taken a long time, please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon so you can be notified of my next videos, like how to make a radioactive bundt cake using enriched uranium, but with an artificial sweetener, not to tamper with the original integrity of the radioactive isotopes. You'll be able to see that in my next video if you click the bell, subscribe, and touch the bell button. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram as freeprescriptionlenses.com. On Twitter as freerxlenses. If you have any questions, just go directly to the website and hit the contact me button. You can also leave a question or comment in the comment section below. But Jerry in Troy, Alabama, thank you so much for the purchase of the silhouette model of the chassis is 5515. The shape of the lens is EW, 51 millimeter width. I increased the depth from 33 millimeters to 35. And now everyone else has got a chance to see how I bring that love and feeling back to glasses. Thank you.